Thank you all so much for joining. Very much appreciate it. Very, very happy to have everybody here and these amazing candidates that are very excited to share with you who they are and what they're up to and what their vision for SAG-AFTRA is. As a quick reminder, we are in the middle of the election here, so please make sure that you vote, and very much appreciate everybody's participation here. So with that, I am going to ask the first question here. We're going to get to hear a little bit of an intro on who these amazing people are and why you want to serve. So with that, I will start with the lovely future president of SAG-AFTRA, Fran Drescher. Would love to know who you are and why you want to serve.
Thank you for that. Yes, I'm Fran Drescher, and I'm running for SAG-AFTRA National President. And the reason why I want to serve is because I have a wealth of experience that has led me to this one defining moment, I believe, that will make me an excellent leader. I'm a great visionary. I have a lot of ambition and optimism and hope for our union and its members. And I think that these are very tumultuous times. And there are a lot of people that need to be heard, a lot of special interest groups that have been neglected in the past, but need to be integrated. There is a whole new technology that we need to embrace in a big, bold way. I think that we as a union have to be part of the national landscape and the conversation in a very proactive way to really give us relevance and strength in Washington, D.C. And I sincerely believe that the time is now, and I am the person of the moment to bring us into the now.
Hear, hear. Let's turn it over to Anthony Rapp, running for Secretary Treasurer, National Secretary Treasurer. Anthony, who are you and why do you want to serve?
Well, you just said my name is Anthony Rapp, and I'm running for National Secretary Treasurer of SAG-AFTRA. I've been a proud member of SAG-AFTRA and Equity, which is our sister union for stage work, since I was 9 years old. It's about 40 years. And in that time, I've benefited greatly from being a member of these unions, but this is the first time that I'm stepping into actually being involved in the business of the union. I was called to serve in this very critical moment. We've really been undergoing so much soul searching as a nation, and as a community of artists. What more can we do to make a difference, to make the world and our community more equitable and more able to serve all of our members more fully? And I do feel like my 40 years in the business, working under many different contracts, puts me in a good position for that. I'm also the son of a nurse. My mom was a registered nurse for her whole life, and she instilled in me the value of being of service. And so I also am running in honor of her memory and her legacy.
Beautiful, beautiful. Yvette Nicole Brown, who are you?
Hi.
Why do you want to
Hi,
serve?
everybody. So I'm Yvette Nicole Brown. I am a kid from East Cleveland. I'm very proud of being from East Cleveland. I believe the things that make me a good choice to be LA local president is that I really like people. And I said that in my my get to know me video, because I think sometimes the idea of actually liking people gets lost. I like people. I want the best for people. And I was raised to believe by my dear mother, who's also passed away, that when you're giving a lot of blessings, you're supposed to pay it back. And I believe that service is the tithe you pay for the blessings that you've been given. And you know, if you look at me, I'm a woman of a certain age. I'm a Black woman. I'm of a certain size. Natural hair. I'm not supposed to be working in this industry. I've known that my entire career. And so the fact that I have a career and I'm able to even run for this office says everything about possibilities. And I want those same opportunities to be available to everyone that looks like me and everyone who doesn't. And so I'm running to create more opportunities like that. And lastly, I think that I'm a bridge builder, and I believe that if you lead with kindness and love, that a lot of things can be brought into fruition. And I kind of love the idea of being the voice in the room that goes, "Come on, everybody, really calm down. Everybody calm down." I want to be the calm down chick. So I think it's an important voice that's needed in the room, and I'd love to be that voice. And so that's why I'm running. We're all volunteers, and I'm hoping to be able to serve the union that's done so much for me. So that's me.
Beautiful, beautiful, and happy belated birthday.
Thank you.
Ezra Knight. Who are you? Why do you
Hey,
want?
Ben. Hello, everyone. I'm Ezra Knight, he, him, non-disabled. I'm speaking to you from Manhattan, Harlem, which is Muncie Lenape land. So I'm running for New York local SAG-AFTRA president because service, not unlike what Yvette just spoke to, is in my DNA. It is a thing that I inherited. I'm the grandson of 2 pastors. I was born in Atlanta, Georgia. The Black church is a place of not only worship, but also at that time of my birth, specifically in the post-civil rights era, was also a place of activism and a place of action and activity regarding social and political issues that affected people. So that had an effect on me. So I joined Actors Equity Association in 1985. 1 year later, I joined Legacy SAG in 1986. And so in my first year as an Actors Equity Association member, I was made equity deputy. And that spawned in me the connective between service that I had inherited from the church and how unionism is also a cause and a space for activism, for political dialogue, for change, for a constituency of people, which happen to be performers. That's where it started for me. That's where it's continued. When SAG and AFTRA merged in 2012, I was actively a part of that campaign to bring that into being and a beneficiary of that legacy for that to happen. So the activism, the unionism, the sense of service, that's why I'm running. And the seat of the president of New York City will give me a chance to do more, to be a louder voice on behalf of the voices that are unheard. So that's my connective, and that's my reason for being here.
Beautiful, beautiful. For our next question, we are going to hear from Sarah Seeds, who's going to ask the next question. Sarah, go for it.
Hey. Okay, first off, it's wonderful to see everyone's positivity and faces. Sarah Seeds, New York, local board member and national board member. I just had a question. I'd like to hear more about your experience in leadership and activism.
Fran, let's start with you.
Thanks, Sarah. That's a great question. And a lot of people don't realize, but for many, many years, I've been very involved in activism and advocacy and legislation, as well as philanthropy. And I was very instrumental in getting a bill passed in Washington by unanimous consent, which means all 100 senators on both sides of the party line said yes. That was the Gynecologic Cancer Education and Awareness Act, the first of its kind in US history. And as a result of that, I was written up twice in the Congressional Record. I was written up in the Washingtonian as one of the top 5 celebrity lobbyists who get the job done. And then during Bush 43 administration, I was invited to the vetted position of public diplomacy envoy for the US State Department, a title that I hold to this day, but worked actively in the Obama 44 administration. And through that, I spoke on an issue that I'm passionate about, which is health empowerment to all of our allied nations, as well as our military bases around the world. I have organized my own nonprofit, and for which I have been the president for over a decade. And I feel like I'm an outside of the box thinker. I'm a visionary. I am not afraid to reinvent the wheel. I'm not afraid to challenge the status quo. I've had great success in my career, which I'm very grateful for. And it has taught me how to speak to people in high levels without fear, and with very level-headed and logical confrontation that gets me where I need to go. And I think that the amalgam of all of these experience is going to lend itself very, very well for the success of our members in the SAG-AFTRA union. What I don't know, I promise you, I will learn very quickly. And what I do know cannot be taught.
Anthony Rapp, that was beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. In the early 90s, I was one of the very first actors to be openly queer, to own my sexual orientation publicly. And why I talk about that in terms of leadership is that part of being a leader is seeing something, seeing a void, seeing a vacuum, even in the face of people who might argue that it shouldn't be done, or if you do it, it might cause problems, or there's, reasonableness, reasonable reasons not to do it. I think part of being a leader is to see those, and for the greater good, to make a difference in the greatest number of people's lives, especially young queer people themselves who didn't really have too many people to look up to. I said, I'm going to do it and try to make a difference. So I point to that as a way that I've been a leader. I've since being out publicly, I've spoken at many different events. I've spoken at the Office of Management and Budget, which is part of the White House. I've spoken at an Out and Equal event. I've spoken at the Trevor Project event, and on from there. I've also, like Ezra, been an equity deputy many, many times in my career as a stage actor. And oftentimes I was just nominated and sort of unanimously consented to be that. I consider my style of leadership to be leading by example, as a colleague for my fellow actors in all these shows that I've been a part of, on stage and on screen. You can count on me to have a very strong work ethic, to bring my best self to the room, my best self to the work. And that's the kind of leader that I promise to be if I'm fortunate enough to become Secretary Treasurer.
I love that. And Anthony, you were a surrogate in the Obama campaign as well, yeah?
Yes, I was. Yeah, I was a vetted surrogate going around doing some events on behalf of Obama in the original 08 campaign.
Beautiful, beautiful. What an amazing group of leaders. Ezra, let's go over to you, sir.
Hello again. I've been a national board member with SAG-AFTRA for a decade. I was elected on the pro-merger slate in September of 2011, and that came to be. I've been 4 years now as New York Vice President, so that equals a lot of time in the boardroom, a lot of conversations, a lot of casting weighted votes upon important issues that affect our membership. I'm a member of the National Executive Committee. I am a sitting member of the Diversity Advisory Committee by dint of being a national co-chair of the Ethnic Employment Opportunity Committee and the New York local chair. I'm on the voiceover committee. I'm an audiobook steering committee member. I am also a very excited member of the Interguild Diversity Coalition, which is a collective of leaders from WGA East, from the DGA, and the SAG-AFTRA. Well, PGA, excuse me, I don't want to misquote that, for PGA. And so it's a collective of leaders bringing together the varying demographics of our leadership and partnering as a coalition, because that to me is an incredible and powerful element to be able to do, and that makes SAG-AFTRA a broader space to exist in. We're not just actors and performers. We have a broad and diverse category existence. So to speak to that means speaking outward to others as well. So my involvement in all of that has brought me here, as well as my activism on the street, which is I've gone to protest and will continue to go to protests. That's being called now into new urgency, as we've seen, and I'm completely down for SAG-AFTRA to be a part of that when that timing and appropriateness exists. We should be on the streets and out there speaking to people and letting them know who we are and that we are part of a coalition of concern, and that SAG-AFTRA is a space for everyone, and we're connected to the issues of the world. I'm also, I will gladly say, this summer I was invited to be on the board of the Acting Company, which is a company I had done some Shakespeare with back in 1995 and continued a relationship with, and they have seen me come forward in my own platforms and have asked me to be on that board. So it's my first attenuation to a board for an artistic organization like that, because theater is very near and dear as a true New Yorker to my heart, and continues to be so. So that's the body of the leadership that Ezra Knight will provide and pulls from.
And last but never least, Y&B.
Woo, Sarah, that's a good question. And those answers, like, I hate that I'm going last because everybody's so impressive. In addition to being elected to the SAG National Board, I am also on the Motion Picture Television Fund Next Gen Board. I'm also on the Emily's List Board, which is an organization that finds Democratic pro-choice women to help win. I'm also vice chair of the Donors Choose Board, which is a wonderful organization that helps teachers and students. I also work closely with When We All Vote, which is Michelle Obama's initiative. And I was a part of the letter that we sent to Congress about HR 1. So I'm kind of mixed up in all of that. I, like Ezra, also believe in getting a piece of cardboard and marching for things that matter. I think leadership, as I've said before, is not about ego, it's about service, right? So you find a place that needs you and you show up to make it better. I think leadership is about what you can give and not what you can get. I think a lot of people in Washington right now and in other places are trying to get office so that they can get stuff. And I think that you should be looking to serve so that you can give of yourself, of your time, of your gifts. And the other thing I want to say about leadership is I think the phrase "I don't know" gets a bad rap. I think somehow people think that to lead, you have to know everything. I think the best leaders don't know everything. I think the best leaders listen. And if I'm blessed to be elected to be the LA local president, I want to open up my email and my phone for people to call me and tell me what's going on. I'm not everywhere. I would love to know what's happening to you. What is affecting you? What is something that you think is important? And going back to SAG for just a second, I'm a part of the committee that's right now currently fighting for equity in the hair and makeup trailers. And I am also, I was a part of the negotiating committee for the animation contract. So I've been in negotiations. I've been in many, many boardrooms. And I hope to bring everything that I am. And I'm also a legal secretary by trade. So contracts are my thing. I redline my own contracts in this industry. So there's that. With a great attorney. Don't act like I'm not crazy. I'm gonna have somebody help me. But I also have the ability to read my own contracts and negotiate myself. So that's it. Hope that answers Sarah. Sarah Seeds. That's a great name, by the way.
That was dope. Thank you, guys.
Sarah, thank you. Thank you for the lovely, lovely question. And as we cruise on through, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Bill Moodis.
Okay, thanks everybody. Thank you so much for doing this. I'm Bill Moodis from New England, and Ezra and Anthony, it's funny how many equity deputies eventually get roped into doing some kind of union service. It's where it starts. I have a question for each of you. What is one of the top priorities that you plan to focus on in your term in office?
Thank you, Bill. We'll start with Fran. Oh, hang on, Fran, you're muted. One sec. There we go.
Okay, great. Look, there are so many things that I'm eager to tackle, from helping our seniors to engaging our young people who are new members and everybody in between. We are such an expansive union now that we cover so many different groups, and everybody has a voice and everybody has a right to feel like they're represented. And that's something that is a big priority for me, as well as unifying us with one vision and one clear through line. But I think that if I had to pick one thing, I think that we really have to wrap our minds around this whole streaming situation, because that is by far the biggest innovation and the thing that's the largest change in how we receive money. And as Tom Hanks said, and I'm quoting him, that the future of SAG-AFTRA is in streaming. And I absolutely couldn't agree more. I think that, you know, we really have to look at the new negotiations and really make it as lucrative as possible. Be very imaginative in how we broach this subject, because it's a new frontier. And I'm not afraid to come up with new concepts and change things. And, you know, and that's just the tip of the iceberg, because truth be told, that contract is not going to come up for 2 years. So what do we do in the next 2 years? Well, I want to corral all of those super famous people that the studios and networks and streaming channels, you know, really make time for, and bring them into the room to support us in having a conversation about this streaming and massaging it in a direction that is fair for the person that's involved with the project, not besides the producers, but us, the SAG-AFTRA union members. And, you know, I think that there's going to be a lot of opportunity on Capitol Hill too. And I have a tremendous amount of experience there. I know how to work that town. And, you know, when we start talking about, you know, image and voiceover digital rights, that's something that I think that we might be able to make some inroads on Capitol Hill. And every single member of our union, whether it be, you know, a background player, a day player, or number one on the call sheet, everybody needs to be represented, and everybody needs to feel that they can sleep nights knowing that Fran Drescher has their back.
Here, here. Anthony.
Wow, thank you. That was very
Follow
inspiring.
that with your top priority, sir.
Yeah. In the spirit of making sure that everybody feels that that we have their backs, one of the things in my capacity as Secretary Treasurer is I look through the systems that are in place of how the union, you know, in terms of the budget and how the staff organizes their work and how they interact with members, and what can we do to bolster communication with members? What can we do to bolster accessibility? That is going to be a very big priority, to streamline and smooth out systems so that members have access to the services of the union, and that we also have the ears open for feedback in both directions. I just was fortunate enough to do a very small, low budget film. In part, that was made possible because of innovations in technology that created very streamlined processes for smaller producers to be able to get these films started. So there's a portal now that people can go online and start their whole production. That's a new innovation that's been very effective. However, down the line, there are still things that haven't been as innovated. So I think there are opportunities to streamline the other processes of actually getting to day one of production. And then once you're in production, what are the services that are available? So just taking a really good hard look at how can we continue to innovate and open up accessibility, transparency, communication to create a sense of accountability, responsibility, openness, collaboration between staff, leadership, and members is a really big priority.
Beautiful, beautiful. Mr. Knight.
I had unmute myself.
You're good, you're good.
Okay, good. You know, these little screens pop up. Yeah, they want attention. In 2020, the year that keeps on giving, I had the esteemed honor and privilege of sitting in on our TV theatrical negotiation. 6 grueling weeks of work, of hard work. A lot of our membership doesn't really get the full picture of what a negotiation means and entails. The commitment needed, the source of information, the towering sense of importance of the event, as well as the importance actually to our members. And I broached that only to say that a priority for me is fighting for ever better contracts for our members, especially in the TV theatrical sphere, which will come around very soon. We'll be back at the table again negotiating. And align with that priority for me is, as New York SAG-AFTRA local president, is to bring jobs back to New York City, which has taken a hard hit because of COVID. And we were in a good place in 2018 and 2019. Things were moving forward and our tax incentives had kicked in and producers were attracted to bring work here and we were benefiting greatly. And now we have to take that hit and come back to bring that work back to the city, which means re-engaging tax incentives and extending those. Relationship with Albany is very, very important. We've cultivated a wonderful space there. So I want to keep that continuum moving forward as the city gets back to full strength and as we all get back to work. You know, being a performer who spins a lot of plates, I know that Broadway and the theater were crippled by this pandemic, but it was television and film, as well as our commercial space too, that was able to keep people working on some level or other. So the balance of that for New York is very, very vital. And bringing work to this city and keeping it here is a major, major priority. And of course, that means getting back to work safely with our protocols, as well as our back to work safe connectives that we've done with the collaborators that help us work. I'm a promoter of vaccines, and I think that's the way to get us forward and back to work safely. And that's one of my big priorities.
Ezra Knight for New York President. Thank you, sir. Let's turn it over to Yvette Nicole Brown.
Bill, that's a great question. I have a soft spot for background actors and stand-ins. I actually have a soft spot for anyone on a set whose name is not in the opening credits. I think it's really important that they don't get lost in this. Every set that I've worked on, every set that I've even visited, I always find time to go talk to the background performers. You know, are they eating? Is it too hot? Do they need sunscreen? You know, how are they being treated? I think that no production that we have works without them. They are the glue that makes every scene real. Stand-in, same thing. You can't have a successful show or movie without stand-ins. And I want them to feel like they're loved and appreciated as well. So if I'm blessed to be LA local president, I'm going to make checking in on them and making sure that they're okay my biggest push. I know that we have an amazing background committee. And like I said earlier, I would love to create a way for anyone that needs me or has a concern to have a more direct connection to me. And I don't know if that's an email address set aside just for our members, or if it's a Google phone number just for our members, or I don't know, but I want to be more hands-on and I want to be accessible. So that starts with taking care of the ones that are neglected and forgotten. So that's what I want to do.
Beautiful.
Thank you all very much.
Thanks for that question, Bill. For our next question, we're going to turn it over to Avis Boone. Let's get Avis up here.
Y'all keep drinking this bubbly water. I'm very sorry. I'm going to burp. In one of these questions, his answers, I'm going to burp. I'm telling you right now.
Avis.
I'm here. Like Ezra said, there's like 1,000 pop-ups. Hi, everyone. And I love how diverse, so it goes in with the question, how diverse and beautiful my screen is right now with all the diversity and smarts that are on it. But my question is, so one focus of the campaign has been diversity and inclusion. And so can you talk about why this is meaningful to you personally, and why do you think it's important to SAG-AFTRA?
Great question. Thank you, Avis. We'll start with Fran.
Well, diversity and true inclusion is a, a huge issue, because this is exactly what I'm talking about with having a heightened sense of the times that we're living in now, this moment now. And I think that we're living in very dynamic times. And I think the times demand that our industry and our union reflect the reality of what the world really looks like. And there's no downside to that. What the fear is, if you continue to whitewash our industry and you're not really properly reflecting the world that we're living in. And when I talk about that, I'm also talking about mature women having roles that are powerful in this industry, gender fluid people, people of all different colors. There's just a full spectrum of people that generally are marginalized. And I am known for going to the mat for people that are marginalized, for people whose civil liberties are compromised. This is a big pet peeve for me. I think it's beneath us as members, as human beings, to allow anybody to feel less than, to have less opportunity, to be excluded, not included. No, this is very important. And to bring this union into the 21st century and to bring it in a big, bold way and to stand tall on this platform gives us a powerful presence on the national stage. And when you have that, then you're no longer, you have a relevance that I don't believe we have right now. And you have influence in Washington, and you make friends in high places because you stand for something. We are the largest entertainment union in the world. And we can no longer be Switzerland and turn a blind eye to things that are injustices. We must stand on the platform of justice and what is right. And if you go for the right, you can never be wrong.
Beautiful. Anthony.
Wow. I've been reminded very recently, I've been going through some old things. I'm doing a big move, and I was in the production of The King and I in 1982. And in that production, it was with Yul Brynner. In that production, there were white actors who were painted to play Asian. And it was sort of just, I don't know if there were also Asian actors in the cast, but I don't know if then the conversation, if they even dared to have the conversation about the injustice of that not being a correct thing. It still was a number of years before there were protests around Miss Saigon. So I witnessed at a very young age, this sort of, I was very young, I was 10 years old, but something about it seems discordant and strange. So I saw right then and there the cost of people not being able to fully be themselves or have opportunities, avenues for their being seen and known. So that made a big impression on me. And then I've been fortunate enough to be a part of shows like Rent, which were shows that embodied the spirit of diversity. And I saw what a difference that made. I saw that the fact that there were straight people, gay people, people of color, interracial relationships, people with AIDS and HIV all together in a story, I saw the difference that made. That we are lucky enough to be a part of, as Fran was talking, we can actually have influence. Our work has influence in and of itself, whether, hopefully it's influence to make a positive difference. When you have stories being told that shine a light, it does make a difference. People see themselves. People have new opportunities. So it's the price that we pay for not doing it is much too high. And the truth is being told now. We've been a part of a system that has been inequitable for far too long, and now we have the opportunity to really do something about it. And the stories that are being told that are doing something about it are making a difference. I'm very blessed to be in Star Trek Discovery now. Very honored to be playing the first openly gay character in the television series history of the many iterations. I'm also proud that we have openly trans and non-binary actors as part of our cast, and so that is a segment of our community that is just exploding in the conversation around them. They've been here all along, but finally they're getting their due, or beginning to get their due, and being able to be seen and heard. So I, as a person, as a cis person, I feel like part of my responsibility is to be an ally to my friends and colleagues who are trans and non-binary, and do whatever I can to make spaces in our workplace as safe as possible for them. So there's so many reasons. We've been living in a world where, the lights have not been shining enough, and they're starting to shine a little more. And I want to do everything I can to put the floodlights on.
Bring on the floodlights. Yvette, we'll turn it over to you.
Well, listen, I was going to answer the question by just doing this. That's why it matters. Avis knows. Avis and Ezra know. But the bottom line is that representation matters. That's the first thing. As a little girl growing up, there weren't a lot of versions of me that I could look forward to seeing on television and in film, especially in film. And, I had big dreams, but I didn't necessarily see what I wanted to do reflected back to me, right? We also know that inclusion and diversity doesn't just work in front of the camera, you need it also behind the camera. So hopefully we'll see more writers and more directors and of color and executives of color to also push this forward. I think that as someone who took most of my entertainment rides with the white characters, right? When you watch a movie or a TV show, you pick somebody and you take the ride with them. I have always seen the white race as universal, right? I can put my hopes and dreams on Meg Ryan or Julia Roberts as she falls in love in a movie. What I know is also true is that a white person could put their hopes and dreams on me and take the ride with me. I think that the majority, the greater majority, just doesn't know that yet because they haven't had to. Right? So the more we have faces that look like us and love stories that are universal, just played by someone with a little more melanin, I think the better we are. Also, I spoke a little bit about this earlier, but there's a problem in the hair and makeup trailers for people of color. We get in the trailer and most of the time we've spent 2 hours that morning getting our hair and makeup together, and we go to set with our wigs and pieces and foundations, where our white counterparts can come in fresh out the shower with wet hair and sit down and leave looking like Charlize Theron. And so I'd like to have my Halle Berry moment. I'd like to come in wet and leave looking like Halle with none of my products or expertise used. So we're fighting to make sure, I want to give Tiffany Cox her flowers. I want to give Malcolm Barrett his flowers. Linda Powell is in there. Allison Pill is in there. Chantal is in there. We have a lot of people that it directly affects on this committee. And we also have a lot of allies that want it to be fair. So that's something else that we're fighting for. Equity and inclusion goes across the board. And it's not a bad thing, everybody. It's wonderful for everybody to get to play. And as much as the strides we had for Black people, we are represented greatly. I want to see Asian people get their moment. I want to see Latinx people get their moment. I want to see Indigenous people get their moment. Like, everybody should be allowed to play. We're doing make-believe, people. It's make-believe. So that's my take on it. Thanks, Avis.
Indeed. Ezra.
Good question, Avis. It's a matter of life and death to me. Diversity, equity, inclusion. That's our new words for it. We're still forming language for a variety of things to speak to the things that we know that exist. I can't speak to you from this seat now as a Black man in America, born in Atlanta, Georgia, living on the East Coast in Virginia and Washington, D.C., and now New York City, where I've made my home here, but the issues follow me everywhere I go. So all that's known, it's heavy, it's troublesome, but we've been called to task. I want to give a nod of respect to Gabrielle Carteris, our current and outgoing president, who called this union to task on walking the walk and talking the talk. It's one thing to talk about Oscars so white. It's one thing to talk about the lack of diversity and inclusion on screens. But SAG-AFTRA is huge in terms of that merger and our broadcasters. And we have singers, recording artists. And within that whole, there's so many categories in our union. It speaks to a greater need to bring the faces of our leadership into closer focus. I know that I was inspired in this walk that I'm in now by a fellow by the name of Mr. Mike Hodge. Big, beautiful, powerful, intelligent Black man. I'm standing on his shoulders now. And as I entered this union in that work, I was in the wake of another fellow by the name of Mr. David White, is an incredible advocate, mind. These two gentlemen exemplify for me the height of leadership and the capacity of a Black man's place to do all manner of good for a particular cause. And they were the shining lights of SAG-AFTRA. So I have, it's a high bar that they've set for what my aspirations are. So I unfold all that into the dialogue and the concept of diversity, equity, and inclusion. So we have to, I know that just as I watch them lead, someone's watching me. And I want young performers, young persons of color, of all our varying degrees of diversity, to look forward and see, this is a space that I can inhabit. I can make a difference here. I do belong here because of what this man is doing and what this man is saying, and because these issues are made important. So again, it's blood in this conversation. The violence against Asian Americans that led up to our Stop the Hate Week in the wake of George Floyd, which was in the wake of a lot of other stuff, and the fighting against sexual harassment and all that, it all kind of culminated to leadership making something happen. And that was amazing, that week of panels with verticality in solutions to answering how to speak to our Asian American constituents in our union, as well as our elderly and our queer, trans, LGBTQ spectrum, our Native American, our Latino. A new committee was spawned. MENA, Middle Eastern North African, a new committee was spawned to further open up our tent to bring people in. So when we speak on that, it's been an unavoidable issue for me my entire life, sometimes fatigued by it, often heartened and inspired with outrage to do something and to activate. That's why I feel I'm here. I'm going to bring that with me, and that's why it's important to SAG-AFTRA.
It is really beautiful to see what leadership looks like right here on the Zoom, and representation of people who've been walking the walk, talking the talk, supporting, I think what's beautiful is how much everybody talked about so many different kinds of diversity, right? And so many of you live this. Performers with disabilities, right? I mean, there's so many different communities that this union represents. And Avis, really appreciate you asking the question and bringing this to the forefront, and truly a treat to look and see this is what leadership looks like. And I can't wait for this to continue to be what that is representative of here here at SAG-AFTRA. We are going to move on to our next question from Michelle Hurd. Michelle, you should be able to come off mute and ask the next question here.
All righty, and I will be brave and show you this. This is just came back from set, so this is what you get, no makeup. But I had to do this because I am so moved by all of you. Ezra, you just almost made me cry. I feel like I perfected being a minority just by walking into a room, and all the words you just said. And Mike Hodge is the man him and Liz Zazzy are the people who actually brought me into this world of being on committees and SAG-AFTRA. So thank you for bringing him up. As many of you, I work with Yvette Nicole Brown as well. I'm also on that committee with getting the hair and makeup equity in that room, because I want everybody walking into those trailers to feel like they're seen and handled and taken care of.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are. You do a great job.
Yes, ma'am. And I have been in the room with this lady, and she is a fighter, and she will do it. And I have been in the room with Ezra for a decade. I've known him for decades, but we have been in these rooms, and and I'm so proud of all of you, and Fran and Anthony, and all right, it's not about me. As everyone knows, sexual harassment is a critical topic for SAG-AFTRA, and it's a huge importance for me. I've actually, with another actress named Kate Riggs, came up with a booklet called Sex, Nudity, and You, to inform and empower actors of their rights in auditions and in on set. Any actor out there who's questioning their rights, please go to the SAG-AFTRA website and click on, and you'll get a booklet that I made without any leadership, just with lawyers, and vetted it. And so these are all legal. This is all true, all your rights. But I'm very curious as to this subject. And can you guys talk about how you see the union combating harassment?
Thank you, Michelle. Let's start with Fran.
Thank you, Michelle. You know, you're beautiful without makeup. I don't know if everybody or anybody knows this, though I wrote about it in 2 of my books. I was a victim of a violent crime. I was raped at gunpoint by a man who was on parole. And I've been very open about it and written about it and talk about it freely, because I think it's important for victims to see that, you know, you can get past it, you can move on. However, it does give me a heightened sensitivity for zero tolerance for the sexual predator, particularly in our industry, which clearly there's a huge problem. We've been hearing about the casting couch since the beginning of show business in Hollywood and in New York and everywhere else. And that too has to come to an abrupt halt now. I think that that having intimacy coordinators is a new and exciting field that people should be clamoring to get into. It's an opportunity for a career that engages you in protecting the members of SAG-AFTRA union. And we should make sure that that world expands, that the curriculum is right on target, and that every production has access to an intimacy coordinator. So there is ne'er a time that any SAG-AFTRA member is on a set and feels in any way compromised, feels intimidated, feels uncomfortable. No, that's, you know, this is a very strange business, because you end up doing things with people you don't even know, and you're acting and making believe that you really have strong feelings for these people. And that takes a lot of courage, and you have to get over the hump of feeling, you know, embarrassed or uncomfortable. And there are specialists that help you to do that. And most important, no actor should feel like they don't have a place to call or reach out to if they feel like they have been compromised. And that's why it's been so great that the sexual harassment app has been established. And you can even be anonymous and discuss and report somebody that has behaved in an inappropriate way. The more this conversation is out on the table, and the more we can continue to talk about it, because, you know, this is just the tip of the iceberg. We have to really constantly be hammering home so that people understand, on behalf of women and men, that if you're going to misbehave, if you're going to objectify somebody, if you're going to be a sexual predator, if you're going to use your power to intimidate somebody, you're going to be called out on it, and it's going to cost you dearly. So, you know, get help and get over yourself, because that day is behind us. No more are we going to stand for that.
Anthony, did you have anything you wanted to add to this?
Yeah, so people on this call may be aware. So I'm getting a thing. Unmute myself. There it came. People on this webinar may be aware that I was part of the Me Too movement in 2017. I stand firmly on the shoulders of the incredible, courageous women who came forward before me. And it was in that spirit that I came forward to try to help make a difference. But one thing that started to change in that whole movement and moment was no longer that before that moment, it seemed like nothing could ever intervene, that we all had to put up with these dynamics in this business. It seemed like the people in power, there was no way that we could ever hold them accountable, and there would never be the cost that Fran spoke to. So clearly that has begun to shift. Doesn't mean it's a done deal. It doesn't mean that it's over for all time. That it doesn't mean that people don't still have to be vigilant and careful. But I firmly believe, speaking of floodlights, the floodlights are on. The union is on notice to support our members more fully than ever before. I was on a set in the early 2000s where a young lady, young actress, was pressured to take her shirt off in a scene that she was told prior to filming that scene that wouldn't happen. And we were all young actors in that film. None of us felt like we had any agency, any power to say or do anything about it. We tried to comfort her. But that sort of situation, to know now that the union, in fact, has said, we are a part of this, we will not stand for this anymore. That alone, I think, makes a huge difference. And now to whatever we can do to continue to educate our members of what's possible, what's accessible to them, that none of this is okay. And I do believe that it also, we've talked a lot about producers, directors, casting directors, that form of sexual harassment, but it's not just isolated to them. It's also sometimes people in power, number one on the call sheet, number two on the call sheet, that our union also has to, we have to clean our own house sometimes, and we have to hold our members accountable for their behavior as well. In Actors Equity, there's a pretty strong sort of code of conduct of rules that what you're expected if you're an actor to be cast in a show. And I do believe that we could benefit from something like that in our union as well, to make sure that we are agreeing. It's a privilege to do what we do, and we are agreeing to certain terms when we are given these jobs.
Thank you, Anthony. We are getting close to time here, and I want to give each of our fabulous candidates. Michelle, thank you for your question. I know you've been a remarkable champion in this space, and it's beautiful to see how much progress is made, and to know that people like you and everyone here is continuing to fight that fight on behalf of so many people. So thank you for your work, and thank you for the question.
Thank you, and thank you for all your work. Thank you.
So as we're getting close to time here, one of the fabulous thing about all these people is that they are working our contracts, and in the thick of it, know what the day-to-day life is for performers. I want to give everybody a chance for some final parting thoughts. Let's start with Fran. Any parting thoughts for those in attendance here?
Well, first and foremost, if you haven't voted yet, if you haven't sent in your ballots yet, please do, because apathy doesn't make for change. We all have to have a voice. And as much as I would love you to vote for Unite for Strength and USAN, I want you to vote regardless, because this is your union and it's very important. And I feel like we're on the precipice of a new dawn, and great and bold and exciting changes. And I think that together with unity, there is strength. And the most important thing is in a union that we be unified. Otherwise, we dilute our power when we're sitting opposite the real opposition, which are the people that we're negotiating with. And because I don't have a history, I've made no enemies, I really don't know who's on which party for the most part, I'm going to treat everybody as equals without any preconceived notions, without any prejudice, without any bias. I want to hear what everybody has to say. And I promise you that together we're going to find the solution. And with great optimism and power, we're going to see a vital, healthy rejuvenation of our union SAG-AFTRA.
Anthony Rapp, final thoughts.
Yeah, first of all, I want to say that briefly, I'm as I mentioned, I'm privileged to be a part of Star Trek Discovery. We do shoot in Toronto, and there are things that through the pandemic that I think that we discovered that what it means to be working outside the country, which many of our members are, whether it's in Vancouver or Toronto, Mexico, Europe. There are certain things that I think that we can do better as a union to help serve our members who are working abroad. So as somebody who's on the ground working these days, I can report back actual experience of myself and my fellow cast members. So I think that that's something that I will bring to it. Also, there's been a lot of understandable confusion about what happened with the health plan. And in the deep dive that Fran and I have been doing these last few weeks, led by Ben and the incredible team, Unite for Strength in USAN, giving us as much information as possible, I learned something really vital about an opportunity that I feel we have as a union to highlight the disparity between what the producers are putting in to support the health plan. I think that there's a lot of us, and myself included, who didn't quite know that there's this thing called caps, where they stop contributing after a certain amount. And I think that that whole system, we have an opportunity to really interrogate that system and revise it and make it much more equitable to support all the lives of all of our people so that the health plan can be shored up. That is something that we as leaders can do. What can we do to help contribute to the health plan? We have nothing to do with what happens to the health plan itself. That's the trustees. But I think we have a real opportunity to help revitalize it and re-examine structures that have maybe been in place for a long time, but they can be transformed. So I think, as Fran said, we are new to this, but that means that we can come in without the baggage of what went before. We're not committed to what went before. We're committed to something that works now and in the future.
Beautiful. Thank you, Anthony. Yvette, final thoughts.
First, thank you so much, those of you that popped in to listen to us and to meet us. It was an honor to get to talk to all of you. I stand with Fran and Anthony and Ezra in that I want to build a bridge over everything and just get to the good part where we're all in the same boat rowing in the same direction and nobody's digging holes and causing us to sink a little bit. So, and I think we can get there. I do believe that we are stronger united, and I look forward to that. And again, vote. Whether you vote for us or not, just vote. It's important. It's a good muscle to exercise. And then I want to say one quick thing about streaming. Everybody knows that streaming is the future. Something that I'm very proud of SAG-AFTRA is that when streaming came into the zeitgeist, I know I ain't say that right, y'all. Just act like I did. The one thing that SAG-AFTRA did is that they made sure that we had jurisdiction over it, which means that as every negotiation happens, we are recognized. They have to come to us to discuss what they're doing. And I love that. And there was a wonderful board member of ours said that when it comes to streaming, we're surfing the wave instead of trying to catch it. And I love that we are on the board in the water surfing the wave, which means we're right in a great position to continue to get even more gains than we've gotten before. And this is the thing, like this is not the place that we land, it's where we launch from. And so I believe even greater things are coming for all of our contracts, especially streaming. And I'm very proud of what we've done and what we as a united union will do. And I'm just so grateful that I'm a kid from East Cleveland, that I even get to run. I want to say this one other thing. When I was first moved to LA, I was temping and riding the bus, and I would walk past, it was then the SAG office on Wilshire. And I remember looking up at the sign and just going, oh, it'd be so great to be in SAG. You know what I mean? Like, it was such a huge dream to even just be a member and to be at a place in my life where I can even run, that I get to be on the national board. It is amazing gift. And I don't take it lightly. So I just want to thank you all for just everything you've given me in this industry. And I hope that I can give even more back.
Ezra, take us home.
To ride the wave of the analogy of waters, I would like to put those at ease who may feel animus, and those who may feel doubtful, who inhabit the skins that we do, persons of color, Black folk, Latino, MENA, that the black tide lifts all waters and all vessels. So that's always been true in this country. Whenever strides have been made and changes have been implemented, whether it's voting, whether it's healthcare, whether it's housing, the benefit of that has been the entire nation. that's true now more than ever. So this call that we have with our social reckoning is not meant to shake the foundations of existence and everything will fall apart. It is meant to add to that with an opening of space of inclusion. That's what I'm about. And this is going to cross all kinds of aspects and categories as we move forward in leadership to let our members know that this is who SAG-AFTRA is. We are a union with a world face, and one that is inclusive. So that's a big theme of this election, and the authenticity of that leadership, and who speaks that better, and who lives that better, and who lives that fully, and wants to give that back, and let that be something that benefits everyone. So as I look at this brunette white woman, this lovely brown Black woman, Anthony, the albino kid, the queer albino kid, and me. Look at this panel of leadership that's vying for your vote. Yes, vote, please vote. That's important because people have died for that opportunity to vote, even for a union. That's a very, very tumultuous history that we are standing upon. So I take none of that for granted. This is an important election, but one that has a lot of hopeful possibility for the future of this union. And I'm happy to be called forward and step forward and to be a part of this. And this lovely panel reminds me that I'm here in the right place at the right time for all the right reasons. So I thank you.
I am truly inspired by each of you who have gone through tremendous personal struggles and challenges, and to take that and use it to make lives better for other people. I know that each of you have done that in your personal lives, and you know, the number of people who are shocked to learn that SAG-AFTRA leaders are volunteers and that they're choosing to volunteer their time, and to see that commitment from all of you, to me, is really what unions and unity is about. And it is a joy to see all of you leading by example through that, and that has been very much your life work. And I, as several people have said, I want to remind everybody to vote. It is our amazing freedom in this country, and as union members, to be able to have a voice in what our community is and in the representation of who we have, and that we can actually have a voice and have a say in the democratic process that fights for workers' rights and for our union and our industry, that is so important in shifting the narratives of this country and in being the leaders of what people see and hear and experience through dance and song and voice and every manner of speaking that our diverse group of members does. It is truly an honor and a privilege to be here. And I thank each of you for sharing. Everybody go vote. Get your friends to vote.
Wait.
Yes,
Wait.
Yvette, go ahead.
I want to say that you were an amazing cruise director. I enjoyed you. And I want to thank Sarah and Bill and Michelle and Avis for those amazing questions. But Ben, I wanted to make sure you got your flowers because you did a wonderful job today, honey.
My pleasure to be here in service. It is an honor. Thank you, everybody, for attending. We really appreciate you making the time in what we are sure are very busy schedules for everybody. We are sending love, and have a wonderful rest of your week, and go vote. Thank you, everybody.
Vote. It's the V for vote.
Thank you.